Airports, animal distributions, and energy infrastructure already in place are just some of the things that scientists say may be at risk. Some are ending up in the hands of pilots who aren't quite ready to fly yet. They end up in restricted airspace like this and avoid near collisions with larger aircraft. Participation bags will be available both here at the Westmark and at the Blue Loon for those who want to get involved. For the audience members that want to be part of the tradition, they can throw rice during the wedding scene and even propose a toast. Around 70% of the ground in Fairbanks lies on top of permafrost. Scientists say the fragile frozen layer of earth and ice we've built our lives on top of may not be able to support us for as long as we once believed.
So we should expect definitely by the mid-century, so about 30 years, actually even less, permafrost in many locations around Fairbanks will start to thaw, even without any disturbances.
As frozen pockets of liquid melt within permafrost below the Earth's surface, it changes the landscape above. Officials from the northern region of the Alaska Department of Transportation and Public Facilities, which includes Fairbanks, say permafrost is already one of the largest geophysical challenges they face.
The Dalton Highway costs on the order of 2 or 3 times as much per mile to maintain as some of the roads that are further south built on more stable ground, and that's largely because of the permafrost.
Curry says climate change is not the primary culprit of the damage he sees, though, rather the aggravation of the surface, which leads to the deterioration of delicate layers below. And when unsolid ground can't be avoided, the DOT takes preventative measures.
We can remove it and replace it with material that is thaw stable. We can design our roads to try to keep it frozen. Our fourth option is simply to build on it and live with the consequences and the fact that the maintenance is going to be quite a bit higher.
But some of the more effective methods of keeping the ground in place are also more expensive.
How much can you afford to do during the design and during the construction versus the ramifications of not doing it and having to maintain that road later on? And that's always a struggle, and it's always a balancing act.
UAF geophysicist Romanovsky says the process of thawing permafrost in a climate change scenario is gradual, so it's a problem we'll have a little time to think about. Reporting, I'm Mike Fussell. Gray clouds line the sky as the U.S. Army Alaska's Aviation Task Force awaited a special delivery coming all the way from Germany. An Air Force C-5 was set to land at Ladd Airfield on Fort Wainwright with the outfit's first 2 AH-64 Apache helicopters. But first, the pilots had to touch down safely with the heavy load.
It's a little bit of a short runway for us. Then we were also kind of anticipating some of the weather, but like I said, we came in, shot the approach, and the weather cleared up really nice. Ended up being a no factor.
The Apache is the Army's primary attack helicopter. Its multi-mission twin-engine 4-blade system is designed to survive in adverse weather conditions, and it can carry 16 Hellfire missiles. Army Alaska Aviation Task Force Commander Colonel Blake Alexander says the aircraft are several steps away from becoming operational.
We'll be arriving air crews here and continuing to perform maintenance on them. Once we get them up and going, we'll be doing individual training, getting all the pilots their environmental qualifications, and then we'll start going out in teams, working up to larger level operations.
The Apaches are designed for the 25th Infantry Division of the soon-to-be activated 1st Attack Reconnaissance Battalion. 22 more aircraft will be flown in from around the U.S. to bring the battalion total to 24 by April 2016. Colonel Alexander says the helicopters hold strategic importance.
It brings a great capability to Alaska and a great capability to the Pacific Theater as we do partnership exercises out there throughout the Pacific region. The facilities here are first class at Fort Wainwright. We've got a great supportive community.
The reflagging of the 25th Infantry Division is part of the Army's initiative to replace older model aviation equipment with modern aircraft, making the military might of the U.S. stronger by going out with the old and in with the new. Reporting from Ladd Airfield, I'm Mike Fussell. After an impressive freshman season, Nanook's defenseman Justin Woods was dealt a challenge much tougher than anything he'd ever faced on the ice.
The pathology came back, and it came back as Ewing sarcoma. And so I was just shocked, because everyone was shocked, because even my parents, they knew it was 6 months prior, it wasn't anything, so.
Woods immediately began treatment in Seattle for the rare form of bone cancer. Taking it day by day, hockey was always in the back of his mind. His goal, to get back on the ice.
It finally hit me when I was laying in the hospital bed, like, this is what I'm doing for the next 9 months. I got to get better. But my ultimate goal is to get back on the ice right now and just do what I can to get back in the lineup.
Using the energy he could, Woods kept up with his teammates and even had his stick shipped to his hospital room. Now, cancer-free, taking shifts for the Nooks, it seems to have all worked out in the end. Not due to luck, but because of character.
It still gives me the chills, the way he came back and the way he never, and maybe behind closed doors he did, but I never saw it. I kept into contact with him, we all did, but I never saw him waver once. His goal was to come back and put this sweater on again, and that's what he's doing.
And Woods' teammates are feeling the impact.
He's battling through everything, and so I'm not going to complain about broken stick, whatever it might be. Like, you're gonna compete because that's what Justin does.
The Alaska coaching staff says Woods is making a strong showing in practice this year. Woods says he just wants to pick up right where he left off.
It was tough just to think about the what ifs. What if it came back? What if I'm not cancer-free? But like overall, I thought to myself, like, I'm gonna be cancer-free. I'm gonna do it. And once I finally heard that news, it was like the weight is just lifted off my shoulder. Like, just thank you so much. Like, if I can get back to my friends, my family, teammates, and just like start my life and resume my life.
Reporting from the Carlson Center, I'm Mike Fussell. That's right, Daryl. I'm live here at the Borough Building. This is where the votes are going to be counted later tonight. But as you can see right now, not a lot of people here in this room. The votes will be counted in a different room next door, and they'll be giving us results here throughout the evening, so we'll get those to you. But if you haven't voted yet, there are still 2 hours left to go out and get that vote cast. Polls do close at 8 o'clock p.m., so make sure you do get out and vote. There's a lot of big races going on this year. Borough mayor as well as some assembly seats. Last year's voter turnout was only around 16.9%, so make sure you do get out, cast that vote. We'll be here all night with updates, and hopefully we'll have some results at 11 o'clock for you as well.
From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is your morning news update with J.R. Lewis.
Good morning and thanks for joining us. It's Friday, October 30th, 2015. I'm Mike Fussell, sitting in for J.R. Lewis. In the news, Alaska Airlines says computer issues that delayed about 20 flights have been resolved. Airline spokesman Cole Cosgrove says crews are fixing the problem and systems are returning to normal. No residual delays are expected. He says that late Wednesday night there were technical problems with several computer systems, including programs for passenger check-in and for pre-flight departure paperwork. Cosgrove says there could still be some delays during the early morning hours, but no flight cancellations are expected. And officials and exterminators say they have seen an upward trend of bed bugs in the state, particularly in rural areas. The Associated Press reports that Pesticide Control Program Manager Karen Hendrickson says her office at Alaska's Department of Environmental Conservation has been responding to an increased number of bed bug reports. State epidemiology officials attribute the increase in Alaska to travel, immigration, and bed bugs becoming resistant to insecticides. Exterminators say a jump in bed bug calls has been seen in Anchorage and Fairbanks. And a local Christian men's group, Cross Members, is seeking to tap into the constructive powers of unity at an event this Saturday. A pastor's appreciation breakfast is being held at the J.P. Jones Center to honor leaders in the faith community from 7 to 10 in the morning. Worshippers of all Christian denominations are coming together to learn what pastors do on a day-to-day basis. The event will feature music and keynote speakers. Each discussion will focus on the primary job duties of the men being honored, which organizers say are being a counselor, teacher, and shepherd. And now for a quick look at the Fairbanks weather. Forecast for today is cloudy at 25 degrees. Tonight getting down to 11 with some scattered snow showers, and tomorrow it'll be mostly cloudy with snow at 18 degrees. The extended forecast calls for a cloudy ceiling with snow possible. Highs will get to the low 30s by Sunday. All right, and that's about all we have for today. Glad you could join us. Don't forget to sign up for our breaking news text alerts, and have a great day. Welcome back, Interior Alaska. Mike Fussell here with your latest local sports action. A lot of athletes were taking the holiday weekend off, but some did still get out to play. The Lady Nanoks basketball team was eyeing the North Star Invitational Championship earlier this afternoon. Alaska met up with Northwood University at the Patty Center, coming off of 2 tournament wins. The Nooks pushed hard early on with Stephanie Thompson coming up with big defensive plays. Jaylee Mays found the basket from outside the perimeter several times as well, but it was Jordan Wilson who came out with the majority of points for Alaska in the first half. She had 13 with 4 rebounds and 2 steals. By the end of the third, Northwood U would extend their lead 63-49, but Alaska would start biting at their heels with 4.5 minutes left, shrinking the deficit to just 4. Their momentum didn't last long enough, though, as Alaska falls to Northwood 90-78. UAF walks away from the tournament in second place with one of their best finishes since 2013.